Chapter 554 to 556 begin. Blizzard City will not lack ammunition. If it weren't for the difficulty in transportation, Zhejiang would probably have people pull hundreds of artillery and directly raise the entire Jiangning Square. Yu Zhengyang looked at the explosion below and clenched his fists excitedly. Now, it will be much easier for us to move. If we are lucky, we can blow them all to death. Zhuo Feiyu on the side reminded calmly, "It is better not to have too good fantasies about this kind of thing. If those guys can be killed so easily, we don't need to prepare for so long before coming here." Yu Zhengyang took a deep breath. "I know. You don't need to remind me about this." Peng Li and Zhang Yi were relatively close, so they watched from the same window. Seeing the vast sea of fire below, she couldn't help asking, "This kind of large-scale fire, unless the other party is very familiar with the terrain and finds an underground shelter. Otherwise it will be difficult to survive, right?" Zhang Yi did not answer the question directly. He asked back, "Have you heard of napalm?" "Huh?" Peng Li blinked her big eyes. She had never heard of such a thing. Zhang Yi pointed at the sea of fire below. "To put it simply, it's an incendiary bomb. It doesn't have the destructive power of a bomb, but it can cause large-scale burning. Even if it's the headquarters, it's impossible to really use all bombs to bomb the entire area within a radius of 5 kilometers. Therefore, napalm bombs are still used in large quantities. This is to consume oxygen and destroy the food and other resources in Jiangning Square, force the Eclipse group to come out and fight us." Zhang Yi laughed. "I don't believe that those guys will be easily burned to death by the fire, especially in this kind of weather now." Peng Li blinked doubtfully, and then cast her eyes on Chen Xiaoxiao. Chen Xiaoxiao nodded. "He is right. But next, it will be much easier for us to find the enemy. At least we won't be ambushed by the other party in advance and fall into the troublesome situation of street fighting." While speaking, the armed helicopter had stopped 10 kilometers away from Jiangning Square. Since the ability of the other person is unknown, it is natural to keep a certain distance before landing. Avoid landing in a box. After the fire, a drone flew over Jiangning Square. A spherical device emanated a red glow from the bottom of the drone. Then, an invisible radio wave instantly swept across the entire Jiangning Square. At the Combat Command Center, a staff member reported to Zhu Zheng and Tu Yunli. "The communication blockade of the Jiangning Square area has been completed. They can't use communication equipment to contact, let alone ask for help from the outside world." Zhu Zheng nodded. "Very good. Let them become headless flies first, and then crush them one by one. First, the other party loses the means of communication, while the communicator in the Jiangnan area is not affected, so that the initiative can be taken in this battle from the beginning." After the helicopter landed, the headsets of several captains sounded from the headquarters. "Zhang Yi team, you enter the square area from the southeast. Wu Shifang team, you enter the square area from the west. Zhuo Feiyu team, from the north enter the square area. Remember, your mission is to attract firepower and delay Eclipse's people. If an encounter occurs, the first priority is to protect your own safety, not to take the initiative to attack." Zhang Yi said calmly. "Got it." He took out 2 silver-white pistols from the mutant space. This was the white owl made for him by Lu Karen, which could hold 20 rounds of holy silver bullets. Zhang Yi walked over and opened the door of the cabin, turned around and said to Liang Yue and others, "Let's go." Liang Yue followed Zhang Yi without hesitation. Peng Li and Chen Xiaoxiao looked at each other. They were also very nervous at this time, but this nervousness was also accompanied by excitement. Danger and benefits coexist. As long as they can successfully complete this mission, the rewards will be huge. The two nodded, cheered each other up, and then followed Zhang Yi with tactical backpacks on their backs. On Zhang Yi's tactical helmet, there was the location and path to enter the square marked by the headquarters for him. So he didn't have to worry about getting lost here. At the same time, He could also check the routes of the other two teams clearly. And not far away, another armed helicopter also slowly landed. On it are the members of the Tianshan team. Seeing the three outer city teams heading towards Jiangning Square, Deng Shentong's eyes were full of amusement. They will not be able to come back in 9 out of 10 cases. However, if they can persist and wait for our support, it proves that they are indeed promising talents. At that time, at least they can be absorbed and join the Yanyun troops in Blizzard City. It is not impossible for those who perform well to join the investigation team. The latter that Deng Shentong was referring to was naturally Zhang Yi. Ever since they met in Blizzard City, Deng Shentong had admired Zhang Yi very much, and had always wanted to bring Zhang Yi into the Heavenly God team. "Let me see how you can perform this time," Deng Shentong said with a smile. Then they began to calmly wait for the headquarters to issue the order for them to attack. After Zhang Yi and his team got off the helicopter, there were no more orders from the headquarters. Zhang Yi understood that the next order would have to wait until the members of the Eclipse group appeared. The sea of fire in front of him had gradually died down. After all, the power of the napalm bomb could not last too long. The ultra-low temperature of -60 to 70 degrees Celsius at midnight was enough to make the flames disappear quickly. However, no one knew the location of the members of the Eclipse group at this time. Zhang Yi asked Flower on his shoulder, "Flower, can you smell the breath of living people?" Flower's eyes swept across the ruins in front of him sharply. It sniffed, and finally shook its head helplessly. Zhang Yi sighed and said, "Is it because of the fire?" Meow. After the fire, the smell became complicated, and it was difficult to distinguish the breath of living people from it. Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li came over. "Captain, what should we do next?" Zhang Yi thought for a moment and made his own choice. "Just wait here for them to come." Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li looked confused. Chen Xiaoxiao couldn't help but say, "Is there a possibility that we are here to encircle and suppress them instead of them encircling and suppressing us?" Peng Li said, "Yes. Is it appropriate to wait here?" Zhang Yi ignored them and began to carefully check the surrounding environment. Zhang Yi answered them casually while checking the surrounding environment. "Don't forget, their intelligence gathering ability is particularly strong. I guess now they have known our location and have dispatched troops to deal with us. I am not familiar with this area, and they have the advantage of the first move, so I plan to use static to break dynamic." Zhang Yi's eyes wandered around for a long time, and then determined the location of his ambush. He opened the dimensional door without waiting for Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li to agree. "Liang Yue, you are responsible for protecting me closely." Liang Ye nodded. There was no need to say more about this matter. The two in Flower entered the dimensional door and appeared on the top of the building the next moment. Only Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li were left, staring at each other on the snow below. Why did he leave us here?" Peng Li looked incredulous. "What kind of captain is this? He is so irresponsible." She stamped her feet in anger. Chen Xiaoxiao raised her eyebrows and looked around cautiously, saying, "He knows very well that we are only in a temporary cooperation relationship, so he didn't intend to care about our ideas from the beginning. It's just that now everyone is in a dangerous battlefield. His approach is indeed a bit naive." Zhu Zhang crossed his arms and couldn't help sighing. "This Zhang Yi is too cowardly. But he is very smart. This is indeed a good way to test the other party's ability." They all knew that Eclipse had a strong ability to obtain intelligence, but no one knew what this ability was. Zhang Yi chose to hide outside Jiangning Square and not take the initiative to attack. If the opponent can still clearly find their location, then it can be basically concluded that the opponent's ability is a terrible ability similar to the nature of prophecy. So, what are the other two teams doing? Zhu Zhang looked at the other two outer city teams. The people on Wu Shifang and Zhuo Feiyu's side also maintained an extremely vigilant attitude as they moved forward. Everyone knew that this operation was full of dangers and did not dare to have any carelessness. Wu Shifeng and his 4 companions also arrived at the designated location. There was not much verbal arrangement between the few people. Compared with Zhang Yi's side, the people in other teams had already formulated a battle plan. After all, not everyone is like Zhang Yi, who is fully confident in his own strength. They need to plan a good team battle to ensure that there is no mistake. After entering the Jiangning Square area, the first thing to do is to Reconnaissance. Mo Zhongning from Wu Shifeng's team came out. His eyes were fixed on the large ruins in front of him, and then he slowly squatted down. He was wrapped in a heavy battle suit, and even his hands were covered tightly by the wide sleeves. But when he put his right hand on the snow, everyone around him clearly saw that his sleeves were shaking restlessly. A yellow light condensed in his palm. Then a gray rodent drilled out of his palm. Mo Zhongning, a release-type ability user, ability code name, Soul Beast. He can transform his supernatural power into different animals, and these animals are like his clones, and can share the 5 senses with him. Wu Shifeng looked at him and murmured in his heart, "It's really convenient to use supernatural beasts for reconnaissance, but since he is the leader of a force, his ability must be more than just reconnaissance. He must also have strong combat power." While others were curiously looking at Zhuo Feiyu, the small soul beasts in his palm actually crawled out like a gray stream of water. In just a dozen seconds, hundreds of them appeared. They stood on the snow and turned their heads to look at Mo Zhongning, with human-like light flashing in their eyes. "Go find them," Mo Zhongning said in a low voice. The soul beasts squeaked and then rushed into the burned square. Soon they disappeared in the ruins. Zhuo Feiyu's team did not have similar reconnaissance methods, but they had a veteran who was proficient in reconnaissance. Yu Zhengyang had been a scout for 7 years, so he was responsible for leading the way in front and carefully searching for traces of the Eclipse group. A certain area in Jiangning Square. 13 members of the Eclipse group gathered here. Although they were surrounded by smoke and black dust everywhere, they did not look embarrassed at all. It seemed that they had already taken shelter before the bombing. 12 people formed a circle, and in the middle was the middle-aged uncle Jinguji Seiichiro. He habitually pushed his gold-rimmed glasses, and then took his hands out of his suit pockets. His slender and skinny index finger slowly raised, and a little golden light appeared on the fingertips. His eyes suddenly became sharp, and his right hand quickly moved in the air while chanting a spell. When the soldiers fight, all the formations are in front of the line. Note: this is a wrong translation by Neon. The 9 secrets comes from Bao Puzi. The song version is, "When the soldiers fight, all the formations are forward," and the Daozang version is, "When the soldiers fight, all the formations are forward." The golden light condensed in the air and quickly turned into a huge golden pentagram. In Jinguji's eyes, golden light flickered in 1 second. As he pointed his right hand to the sky, the golden pentagram shattered and turned into tiny spells that went straight up into the sky. A moment later, with the location of the Jingu Temple as the center, a majestic mist began to spread around. In just a few minutes, the entire Jiangning Square was shrouded. The 3 teams discovered the abnormality at the first time and reported to the Combat Command Center. "I found an unknown fog. The coverage area is very large. It should be the people of Eclipse Moon who took action." Seeing this, Zhuzhang immediately said, "Everyone be careful to prevent the mutants of Eclipse Moon from taking advantage of the fog to attack." Without him saying more, the mutants in the outer city would be more careful themselves. "This ability is not mentioned in the intelligence at all," Zhuo Feiyu said with a serious expression. "Sure enough, they still kept a lot in the first battle." Veteran Yu Zhengyang said calmly, "This is just a trick to cover the sight. It is not offensive." In the other team, Mo Zhongning smiled coldly. "The thick fog can block people's sight, but it can't block soul beasts. It's better to say that this battlefield is more conducive to my performance. In any case, the two teams were slowly moving towards Jiangning Square. On the contrary, Zhang Yi built a wall on the roof of a building at the edge of Jiangning Square, with no intention of moving forward. He just waited for the enemy to come to him. Zhang Yi said, "It all depends on when they will take the initiative to deliver it to your door." After Jinguji used his ability, he put his hands back into his pockets. A dark gray bird landed on his shoulder. It opened its mouth and spit out 12 identical gray crows from its mouth, which landed on the shoulders of others. The impatience on Jinguji's face never disappeared. "Next, this battlefield will become an unknown area. Mayumi, it's up to you." Feng Guangyuan smiled and waved at him. "Thank you for your hard work, Jinguji. Your methods are still as reliable as ever." Jinguji was too lazy to pay attention to him, and walked aside silently. The shrine maiden Mayumi Takeuchi glanced at Feng Guangyuan, and after getting his approval she slowly walked to the center of the circle. Her hands turned transparent and slowly took out the scroll from her head. The scroll unfolded on the snow, but it was not stained with any snowflakes. Even the snow flying in the air could not fall on it. It was as if this scroll did not exist in the world. Mayumi Takeuchi knelt down on the snow. She raised her right hand and a slender brush with the end held by the little ghost appeared in her hand. This time, she did not take out the bright red ink because the previous reserve had been used up, so she stretched out her left hand, revealing her white arm. The slender brush in her right hand stabbed her arm without hesitation. Puff! Blood flowed like a stream, but not a trace of blood was wasted. The little ghost at the end of the brush sucked it with big mouthfuls, and the blood gathered on the tip of the brush. Takeuchi Mayumi looked extremely sacred and began to write on the long scroll. After a long time, the scroll was already covered with dense blood words. Feng Guangyuan and Jinguji came over and looked at the divine text on it. Takeuchi Mayumi's face was a little pale, and it was obvious that the use of this power was also very exhausting for her. However, she still said calmly, "The enemy has come, in the west and north, with 4 people each. In addition, there are enemies lurking in the dark, who have not yet appeared." Jinguji frowned. "Only 2 teams came. The number of people this time is much less than last time." "Maybe they are all elite." Feng Guangyuan smiled. "Deep. Maybe they are just cannon fodder, to lure us out and test our abilities." Jinguji pushed his glasses. "It doesn't matter. As long as Mayumi is here, we won't be at a disadvantage tactically." He looked at Mayumi Takeuchi. "Mayumi, come on. Tell us how to act." Mayumi Takeuchi held up the scroll and looked towards the west. "Okay." In the center of the battle formation, the middle school boy 40 Minobu Satoru sat cross-legged on a cardboard box with his eyes closed. His ability, Enlightenment Demon, has been activated. The 13 members of the Eclipse organization are connected by a red thread in his field of vision, and the point of convergence is on him. With his existence, the 13 people can get in touch in time no matter how far apart they are. In other words, the information shielding function of the Jiangyan district has no effect on them. Feng Guangyuan smiled even more. "These guys must have set a trap waiting for us to jump in. They don't understand who is the prey and who is the hunter. Let's have a good fight. It's time to let the leaders of the Jiangyan region know that Eclipse Moon is something they can't afford to offend." As Mayumi Takeuchi's divination ended, the members of the Eclipse Moon group also received their combat orders. Everyone was very optimistic about this battle, because as long as they acted according to Mayumi Takeuchi's predictions, they had never failed. One after another, the mutants left the place. With the existence of Grey Crow, the misty fog seemed to have no restrictions on them. Feng Guangyuan waved his hand at him, motioning him to leave quickly. "It's time to let them see our true strength, and then they will obediently give the central plain to us." Western Front. Wu Shifeng and the others did not rush forward but silently waited for Mo Zhongning's reconnaissance results. The soul beasts have already moved forward from the ruins, heading towards the area within the cone range in front. They share the 5 senses with Mo Zhongning, and as long as they detect the enemy's traces, Mo Zhongning will sense it at the first time. Wu Shifeng and the other 2 were guarding Mo Zhongning, and the other 4 were hiding behind a bunker in the ruins. Suddenly, a dazzling white light appeared in the vision of a soul beast. The next moment, it completely disappeared in the ruins. Mo Zhongning opened his eyes suddenly. One of my soul beasts was killed. The expressions of Wu Shifeng and the other 2 suddenly became solemn. Did you find the people of Eclipse Moon? Let me take a closer look. A soul beast was killed, but Mo Zhongning was not in a hurry. He could summon 138 soul beasts at a time. Now that the location of the dead soul beast has been determined, other soul beasts can gather in that direction. Then judge the identity of the person coming. So, Mo Zhongning immediately mobilized the 10 soul beasts around the soul beast and began to explore intelligence. The other soul beasts were ordered to retreat by Mo Zhongning. The area west of Jiangning Square is not large. Soon 10 soul beasts ran here from the ruins, and waiting for them was a thick gun barrel. Mo Zhongning immediately recognized his identity. In his right hand was a huge black hand cannon, and the attack method was supernatural shells. The gunner of the Eclipse Moon organization, Kurosawa Akira. The moment the soul beast appeared, it was killed by Kurosawa one shot after another. Mo Zhongning knew that he had little time left, and quickly used the remaining instant perspective of other soul beasts to observe the strange people appearing around. In addition to Kurosawa Akira, there were 2 other figures walking slowly towards this side. One was a spirited young man with a sofa-like hairstyle, Sakuraba Yushiguang. As for the third person, when he saw his body shape clearly, Mo Zhongning's pupils suddenly shrank. It's him. Damn it, how could we be so unlucky? As soon as he finished speaking, all the soul beasts he sent out were wiped out. Mo Zhongning stood up in fear, gasping for breath. Wu Shifeng and the other 2 were shocked when they saw this. Mo Zhongning, what did you see? What on earth is it that scares you so much?